Hello everybody and welcome to the 15-year Bone Canoe 86 channel anniversary. Yes, that is right. 15 years since I started the channel, which is, of course, an astounding thought. It's just like hard to wrap my mind around the fact that such a thing has existed for so long. But yeah, it's true. Like I always say, April 23rd, 2009 was the day the channel was founded. And let me just get over this large log. Today, well, the day I plan to upload this is April 23rd, 2024. Yeah, I think that is rather rad. So, I literally just thought of doing this video about half an hour ago before I decided to do it. It wasn't in my plan for the day. I just decided to do it, so it's kind of going to be off the cuff, whatever I feel like saying, and if I end up going or just getting lost in meaningless tangents, I can always just edit it out later. So yeah, I'm out here in nature. I'm actually in the same park I was in last time when I recorded the video. So all you geoguesser sleuths, if you exist out there, try to figure out where this is. So one of the main things you might want to hear me talk about on this video is why I stopped uploading videos last August. And to be honest, I do not have any kind of like real big explanation. It was just one of those things where like one day I recorded some footage and then I didn't edit it, and I continued to not edit it, and before I knew it, 8 months had passed. Yeah, there was not really a plan to quit or to stop. It just sort of, like, I just sort of stopped doing it one day, and that was about it. So, yeah, the main story, of course, from the channel for the last year was the short-lived, I guess you can call it, attempted comeback, where I did Civ 6 and City Skylines. And that was fun. I had a lot of fun building that city, and I had a lot of fun playing that Civ game. But the thing is, like, I was thinking about it, why didn't it stick? Why didn't this comeback idea kind of stick? And it didn't have anything to do with, like, a lower number of views or whatever, because I never really cared that much about that. It was, I really think what it is that it sort of messes up the flow and the vibe of when I like to play, of how I like to play those games. I like to just chill out, build, play, do whatever. You know, if I make commentary, it's just natural, it's flowing, you know, it's nothing like super thought out. And the fact of constantly having to stop and, you know, edit, then put in the royalty-free music, which a lot of it turns out is not royalty-free, even though it says it is. You know, make sure the sound levels are right, and, you know, make sure this is right and that's right, and, you know, it just interrupted the entire flow. And I wonder, you know, you look at a lot of these bigger channels, like, just take for a random example, Potato McWhiskey. He makes Civ 6 videos. He has an editor who works for him, so he can just literally play his game and send it off to his editor, and he can do all that stuff for him. I, of course, am a one-man operation. I have no editor in the budget, you know, that's not going to happen. So I have to do everything myself. So the flow is necessarily interrupted. And I can't say for certain why that wasn't a factor in the original run of my channel, but I think the best way to describe that is that when I was in, you know, we'll call it the Bone Canoe heyday, which would be 2009 to 2013. When I was in the heyday, I actually had, You could even call it like a low-key obsession with the channel and making videos. And it wasn't like a super, oh, I'm going to wake up and do this every day kind of thing. It was just sort of like a low-key obsession I had, and that gave me sort of almost like powers to get through things that I normally wouldn't. One new thing I really liked doing, though, was those thumbnails. As you might remember, if you looked in any of the videos for the Civ 6 or for Skylines, you'll see, in the case of Civ 6, I actually used a AI generator to create image generations of Eleanor and the other leaders that I ran into, and it was very funny and a lot of fun to do to make those. And for Skylines, I decided to invent the character of the mayor, and I did that in a different AI style, but you'll see her in all those thumbnails. And that was a lot of fun to do, and I really enjoyed that, but it was kind of sad that like nobody ever commented on those, because I thought it was fun to just have those characters. You could almost say meta characters in there to sort of spice things up. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, ultimately the workflow for creating those episodes was just not a vibe for me. And so it just sort of gradually stopped being interesting to me, enough to continue at least. And I'm sorry if anyone was looking forward to any of that, because especially the Skylines city I was creating, the city of Platria, I was actually really starting to like how a lot of that was shaping up. It was a city that I was paying a lot of attention to, and it was just starting to get to the fun part, which is what I consider to be the part where you sort of reach 30,000 population and you really start to worry about problem-solving traffic issues, which is a pain in the butt for most people, but I actually find it kind of fun, and I was looking forward to that part of the series, but it sort of stopped right before we got there. You want to see something? This year, 2024, has been the muddiest spring I can remember. Like everywhere I've walked recently is just like this. It's just mud everywhere, to the point where I almost screwed up my shoes. The other thing that I really didn't like was I really felt that the constraints I was under, both in terms of the flow that I would have preferred being disrupted and just other environmental constraints I had around me, meant that it was really hard to get into a flow of good commentary, and I really didn't feel like I was being very interesting in those videos. And I always feel that if I don't want to watch a video, why should I be making it? I don't want to make something boring, and I don't think just putting in the royalty-free music or putting in speed ups during certain sections or stuff like that, I don't think that was enough. And yes, I don't know if you noticed, but if you go back to those videos, some of the times I actually sped up the videos 10 or 15% to make them a little bit more, to flow a little bit better, to go a little bit faster. And it felt natural to me. So I just did that, but I don't think that was enough. All right, let's navigate this fallen tree. We're just gonna come under here. Oh. And there, we're through. So it really felt like I was not delivering on my goal of bringing old school Let's Play energy into the modern day. It just wasn't really working for me. And the thing is, I like to talk about how things were, different back in the heyday of Let's Playing, when I was in my prime, you could say. But really, when you think about it, I always consider myself alternative even for that time, because the Bone Canoe heyday also coincided with the rise of channels like PewDiePie. Those guys who are always overreacting and screaming and screeching and being just like really annoying, even though I kind of like PewDiePie. And I was never like that. And I never wanted to be like that. It was less about being old school, I thought, than sort of being like old school me, like my personal old school style. But I'm not the same guy as I was back then. I'm at least like, that was at least like 3 personalities ago. I'm serious, like I am not the same person. I was an honest, earnest 23-year-old who, you know, had been through a lot at that point already, but still had a certain kind of idealism regarding self-expression and being on YouTube and doing all that stuff. But now I am a much more bitter, grumpy, grouchy, cynical 38-year-old, and it's very hard to sort of captivate or to recapture that sort of earnest vibe, you know, that even that almost slightly pretentious, that slightly nervous energy that I had in the early videos where I really cared and really wanted it to come across well. I don't think I can bring that back in any kind of way that would come across as honest and authentic. Because yeah, I'm not that guy. I'm an old grump. So yeah, I think what it really just comes down to is the vibe was just off. And I felt like I really couldn't fully be myself and express myself because, you know, even though I just now talked about how I wasn't, you know, the loud, screamy, overreacting type, my natural form is actually quite outgoing, quite exuberant, very much expressive. That's just how I am. I don't try to force it. It's just naturally who I am. But because of environmental constraints and also just general vibe, not really able to be that person, and just sort of being like this stilted, quiet kind of person was just too much of a killer, I think, to anything. I mean, if you're not in it, the viewers can tell it. You can feel it through the camera. And so I don't think it was ever really going to work. So the question now becomes, what is next? Is there a next step for Bone Canoe 86, 15 years into existence, still making videos? And to be honest, despite everything that I just said, I still don't want to stop. I don't want to close the door on the channel. I want to always keep the possibility open of continuing. And how I will do that, you know, I still don't know and may never know. I don't know. I just like expressing myself. I don't know if you know this. You probably don't. But there's pieces of me and different forms of expression all over the internet. I have gone by so many names at so many times, doing so many wildly disparate things, that there are pieces of that self-expression just everywhere. It just so happens that this is like the one thing that is like, how can I put this? The most visible thing I've done, the most, you know, the thing that can be linked most directly back to me, the thing I can easily explain to other people and tell them about. So yeah, this is just one of many forms of expression that I partake in, and it's one that I don't want to give up on because it's also the one that has the biggest history, you know? It's the one that's been going on for the longest. So yeah, I really don't know what I'm going to do or how I'm going to proceed. I just know that there is a future of some kind for Bone Canoe 86. It is going to exist as long as I'm alive and as long as YouTube exists. I'm pretty sure I will be here in 5 years making the 20th anniversary video. Maybe not on this exact spot or anything, but you know, somewhere out there in the wider world. So yeah, I'm fully looking forward to still being here. And I don't know who is still around from back in the day or from any time, if you're a more recent person, because like occasionally you will get somebody who stumbles upon my videos, although to be honest, like 90% of the comments I get at this point are some form of like nostalgia related comments, because it's like people returning saying like, oh, I used to watch this series like when I was a kid and I've come back and finally found it. That's the one reason I've never actually taken down anything from Bone Canoe 86. I've never taken down any series, even if I sort of disagree with the things I did or said in those videos, because like I hate to, you know, relate things back to real life and politics and crap, but you know, you look at them taking down statues and stuff, and it's like, well, you're erasing history. You're removing history, even if you don't agree with it. You know, history should be remembered, and I feel that principle applies to myself. A lot of things I did, I wouldn't do again, but it's who I was at the time, and that is going to be preserved because I believe in that. So yeah, at this point, I really don't know how I'm going to proceed or what I'm going to do in the future. There's no exact plans for Bone Canoe 86 right now, other than the mere fact that it will continue. So I really wish I could give you more, but right now I just don't have more. I don't have more thoughts. But I can say I'm having a great time. I mean, even if I'm only making videos once in a while, or even if I'm just doing whatever, I think like doing whatever the hell you want is in its way its own regard, or its own reward. And I find that in life too, you know. I might not have a great career or make a lot of money, or I'm not able to travel the world, but you know what I do have? I have a car I can drive, I have 2 legs, I can walk, I can explore all the little towns and little parks within a wide distance of where I live, and I can walk endlessly. I can walk for hours around these parks. I can enjoy nature. I can enjoy sunlight, because they haven't figured out how to put sunlight behind the paywall yet. So until they do that, I can enjoy the sunlight for free. I can enjoy my 2 own feet for free, and I can just enjoy the pleasures of life that I can find and that I still have access to. And instead of worrying about the numbers of things that I don't have, or the ways in which I don't measure up to other people, instead of worrying about any of that stuff, I focus on just enjoying what I do have. Because when you look at it, most likely what you have is a lot more than you think. Even if it's less than other people, it's probably still a lot. So that's my message. Look around at the tools that you have, at the things in your world, and think of what you can do to make the most out of that, rather than stressing yourself out about what you don't have or don't do. Now I have the sunglasses off for the last part because I want to be able to look at you. Alright, well, we're reaching the end of this video, and I just want to say, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for watching. No matter how many years you've been watching, whether it's been from the beginning or from some point anywhere in between, thank you so much for watching. I don't know what the future holds, but I at least know that there will be a future. As long as I'm alive, and as long as YouTube exists, Bone Canoe 86 will exist. I will still be making videos of some kind, and yeah, I hope you'll stick with me. So, thank you so much, and I'll see you all down the road.